Hi, and welcome back to It's Not Rocket Science 5 Questions Over Coffee. And I'm delighted to be joined by Lauri Smith, who I'm thinking this is going to be an interesting conversation because Lauri is a soulful speaking coach. Now, if that doesn't sound like the most interesting conversation you're going to have today, I don't know what is. Lauri is somebody that helps visionaries, empaths, people who are on a soul-driven mission to share their magic, share their story on stages, big, small, podcasts, etc. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Lauri's stories and Lauri's advice. And welcome to It's Not Rocket Science 5 Questions Over Coffee, Lauri.
Thank you so much, Stuart. I'm so excited to be here with you today having this conversation.
Well, let's get into it. Let's start by speaking about those visionaries, those empaths, those people who are on that soul-centered journey, and how they are trying to reach what they're trying to do.
Well, the thing that can sort of steer them off course is they're wanting to speak in a way that is authentic, wanting to speak in a way that has an impact and transforms the vibe in the room, whether that's a TikTok or a TED Talk. And a lot of the mainstream speaking solutions out there are putting them in a box that was created in different waves of the industrial era. That's one way of speaking, one way of gesturing, so that it's creating sort of a mask that doesn't feel like it fits them. And sometimes as a result of that, they go into those rooms and they feel the dissonance and they feel like there's nothing that can help them. Or they go into those rooms and they hide their true selves and they try to fit into the mask or the mold that they're being given as what a leader or a change maker, quote unquote, should be. It's supporting this era that we're now in, where people really need to be authentic and to be in alignment with themselves and their 1 in 8 billion way of showing up.
And how have they tried to address this before they come across somebody like you, Lauri? What are the things they've attempted? Presumably is everything from speaking in an inauthentic way through to not speaking at all.
Yeah, speaking in that inauthentic way that they think they should. So they might try to be hyper intelligent in a left-brained way when that's not really their true inner radiance. Or someone might have told them that they needed to be peppier, or that they needed to work harder or be funny and make the audience laugh. And they might have gone to places like Toastmasters and not felt an alignment with that. They might have decided, I'm not a speaker, I'm not a leader, so they're not doing it, like you said. Some people have gone to solutions like yoga and mindfulness, and on their own, they're trying to take the wisdom from yoga and mindfulness and having it translate onto the stage. A lot of them will spend a lot of time creating the PowerPoint, trying to come up with the script, what am I going to say, so that they've got the whole entire thing mapped out moment by moment, and they're essentially reading because they think that saying that there is an absolute perfect thing to say and that saying it is going to get them the impact that they're looking for, when it really isn't. It's much more effective to have an outline and to get up from your chair, unless you're actually presenting from your chair like I am right now, to get up on your feet, so to speak, and to practice out loud, just like a basketball player will practice their free throws again and again and again, so that when they go into the game, they can make the shot in the high stakes circumstances of the game, rather than just thinking about the free throw.
Yeah, I often talk to leaders that I work with about important presentations, and many of them, like you have said, are the sort of person that will have a PowerPoint deck of 50 slides and just put them up and read them. And so often I turn around and say, well, how many times have you actually practiced that? And they'll go, practice. I didn't get it until 2 minutes before I was due to start.
Yeah.
And I've often said to them, the thing is, you should have it 2-3 days before and get to know it, and then stand in the room where you're actually going to give the speech, so that you're used to the place where you're going to do it. So you're used to the site, because it will change, and practice to not get it right, but fail to get it wrong.
Yeah.
I sing when in the on evenings, and we compete, and the idea is that we don't sing and keep going until we get it right. We keep going until we can't get it wrong. You don't forget the words, because they're ingrained, and that's what speaking has to be as well. Sometimes it has to be something which is just coming out of your soul, doesn't it?
Yeah. And with speaking, I think of it a lot like Saturday Night Live, where for Saturday Night Live, they create a thing, and then they've got a list of scenes and moments that they want to hit in the scenes backstage. And then when they go to do it live, it's semi-scripted, so they can do it fresh in the moment. And speakers, they know their stuff more than they believe they do. And they need to practice that structured improv enough to look down, see a bullet point, and know, what do I want to say with this bullet point? And what do I want to say in the next bullet point? And it can be their same messaging, the thing that they know really deeply and are passionate about, and slightly different every single time.
Yes. Yeah. So that you hit that audience connection, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think you've got a very valuable piece of free advice that you're offering, which I'm showing on screen now, which is voice-matters.com/podcast. Tell us what we'll find there, Lauri, and how it can help.
That is the Soulful Speaking podcast. When you go to that site, you'll get to listen to the podcast for free. A quiz will pop up that you can take that will tell you which mask you're using and hiding behind, probably unconsciously. And then there's a whole bunch of resources and tips that are going to come back after that. That's the free offer to start moving forward. And I think you also wanted a tidbit of advice that they could put into action right away.
That would be great.
Yeah, the advice that I would give to people is to set an intention for what you want the audience to experience emotionally or energetically. And it's not something like, I want them to like me. That's an inner critic driven thing. And with the intention, we're trying to take the reins away from the inner critic and give it back to that highest, most confident part of yourself. So it might be something like, I want to give the audience hope. If you're going into a network meeting, instead of thinking, I hope they hire me, or I hope I don't screw up, I hope I don't say the wrong thing. Those are all soul suckers trying to protect us. I'd like to give the audience a glimmer of hope, either for themselves or for a friend they've got that is struggling. It might be something like, I want to see people expanding or opening, as if they're opening their heart, which is a little bit more of an energetic or a physical thing. And when we do that, instead of looking for what might go wrong, and then that becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, we're connecting with that soul-driven mission that we're here to do, and then aligning with a mile marker of that. And we'll start to notice shifts toward people feeling more hope, rather than shifts toward, oh, I think I just said the wrong thing.
That's a really wonderful tip. That's a really wonderful tip. And it's you're right. We all need to sometimes learn to silence that inner critic, don't we? And take away the oxygen.
Yeah.
What is it, Lauri, that got you to become the soulful speaker? Was there a particular moment in your career or your journey? Was there a book, a course, something which sort of took you from where you are to where you were to where you are now?
the key, there have been a lot of different breadcrumbs along the way that I followed, and the key that I talk about a lot was in an acting class that I took. Many people think that acting is about lying. It's actually quite the opposite. It's about authenticity and mirroring things back to humanity. And in my favorite acting class ever, there was an exercise one day where I was up there by myself instead of being up there with a colleague or three. And I kept pulling myself together between these little bits of the exercise, very similar to these masks that industrial speaking is consciously or unconsciously asking us to wear. And Richard, my teacher, stopped the exercise and said, whatever that is that you're doing in between, stop doing that. And I said, I'm not that comfortable having everyone's eyes on me. And he took off his glasses and he said, well, then you've picked a strange set of careers for yourself. You're an actor, a teacher, a speaker, a leader. Part of you wants this. In fact, part of you knows you're meant to be here. And that really struck me. And even my protectors and inner critics deeply trusted him. So it was like my heart and soul knew he was right. And because I trusted him and the space that he held, I jumped back into the exercise and was actively releasing those masks. And it felt like decades of protection were melting away in a kind of combination of fire and ice. And when the exercise was over, I looked out at my classmates and I felt completely in sync with them. I felt like I could see and feel what kind of a day they were each having. And I now say it was my first moment of being in flow or in oneness that lasted beyond the sport or beyond the acting. I had had them while acting before. I had had them while playing basketball in high school, where time just doesn't seem to exist. And when it's over, people ask you about a certain play or a moment, and you kind of don't know what they're talking about because you were so in it. And what I realized from that is that our charisma, our one-of-a-kind presence, comes from allowing ourselves to be seen while also holding the room in kind of an energetic hug. And that's at the root of how I work with speakers today. It's the same way that that acting instructor worked with me. Instead of thinking that you need to reach for something other than what you are, it's about letting go of everything that the world has told you that you should be, and then learning how to expand your energy from there.
That's a wonderful story, and I think we all need a Richard, don't we? We all
Yes.
need that somebody who looks at you and tells you how it is and helps you to uncover the truth behind what you're hiding. And I know I have had Richards in my life who have been exactly the same, not with acting, but with other things.
Yeah.
Lauri, there must be one question that I have not yet asked, which you are really witching and itching that I could ask you. So what is the one question that you think I should be asking? And obviously when you ask it, you need to give us the answer.
Yeah. That's always the rub, isn't it? I lead networking groups and I will come up with great questions and forget that I have to answer them. The question that popped into my mind when you asked that was the why. Why am I doing
love the question.
This? Yeah. And the short answer is it's my calling. And the longer
Brilliant.
part of that I've kind of lived into, or I am living into, is I believe that speaking soulfully is actually part of raising consciousness on the planet. That is the biggest why. So the more soulfully our leaders and change makers can speak, the more it's going to have a ripple effect. I see there's that image that we all saw in like a science class of evolution of humans, where they're hunched over, a little bit taller. And to me, the way most of the Western world is speaking is a generation or two back. It's actually not aligned with our highest selves, our most courageous selves, and helping us to not oddly, recapture the kind of expressiveness we had as babies, while marrying that to our sense of purpose or our intention or our mission as an adult. Primal and presence coming together, primal and purpose coming together and creating a more resonant presence it's a huge thing, and it can also be pared down to tiny, small, moment by moment things.
Brilliant. I love the message. I love the way that you put it. And I think you're right. We all need to grasp those moments. We all need to find those moments. Even if we're not in front of a stage, we need to grasp them for ourselves anyway.
Yeah.
Lauri, it's been wonderful having you speaking to us. I'm just going to take a moment now and beg people to just go to this link, which is link.thecompleteapproach.co.uk/newsletter. If you fill out the form there and it only asks for an email address and your name, you will get an email once a week. All it really tells you is who's coming on the podcast this week, so that you can get and listen to the sort of advice that you get here, and also ask questions on the podcast of the authors and people that we have speaking. So, Lauri, thank you for coming and spending a few minutes with us. I appreciate that you've got a busy day ahead of you, so I'm going to let you go and get on with it and get more of those people that really need to make TikToks, TED Talks, and other connections, make them soulfully.
Thank you so much for having me, Stuart. You have a great day and a great week as well.
Thank you.